Okay, let's see. Last but not least on our agenda, we have Dr. Jorge Brenner, the Executive Director of GCOOS. All I can say is that Jorge stepped in and has just really assimilated a lot with the help of Barb Kirkpatrick over the course of the last 6 or 8 months. It's every time Jorge turned around, it was something else, another issue, another request, another spreadsheet, another personnel issue, another whatever, another meeting. There you go, another virtual meeting. But he's handled it really, really well, and I think he's got us pointed in very, very good directions. And not to mention his what he initiated at the spring webinar series with our counterparts in Mexico, which I found to be fascinating. We have some real potential benefit to be gained collaboratively with our counterparts in Mexico, and I think we're definitely taking steps in that direction. So, Jorge, please go ahead and let's hear your report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Can you confirm that you can see my slides?
We can see them.
No?
Yep.
You can see them now? Okay, perfect. Well, as Joe said, you cannot see them?
Jorge, we can't see them.
You can, okay.
You might need to switch your screen.
So let me stop sharing then.
So I can see them, but they're on half of your screen.
We're seeing the presenter's view, not the presentation view.
Oh, okay. So give me 1 second. How about now? All right.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It's always confusing with multiple monitors. So again, very happy to be here with you and listen to everything that it has been communicated to us this afternoon. This is really refreshing for me as an executive director to hear from our members, from our board, and the people who make our work possible as well. So I'm gonna just beginning with showing the GCOOS mission again, because I hope that there is new members and new persons that haven't been to our meetings in the past. So I want to start by showing what GCOOS is here to do and to contribute. So we're one of the 11 regional associations of the Integrated Ocean Observing System family, the IOS family. We're the only one certified association in the Gulf of Mexico to manage and handle and process and publish the data for NOAA and for the IOS data services as well. The GCOOS mission is to provide on-demand information about the Gulf coastal and open waters that is accurate and reliable and benefits people and ecosystems and everything that we care, including our economies. So we are fiscally managed out of Texas A&M University in College Station, Texas, where we actually work, of course, across all 5 states in the Gulf of Mexico. And we'll talk more about the international perspective in a few more slides ahead of my presentation. Let me show my presentation by showing some changes recently in our board, and then Joe will, after my presentation, talk more about the really recent news about our board membership. But a few months ago, Dr. Kirsten Larson with NCEI in Mississippi, she holds a government seat, and she was our secretary with the executive committee. And a few months ago, she moved to be our vice chair. And then Dr. Stephen Howden, professor of ocean science and engineering and director of the Hydrographic Science Research Center at the University of Southern Mississippi. He holds one of our academia seats with the board, and he is now our secretary with the executive committee. So very exciting changes, and as I mentioned to you before, we're going to hear later from Joe more about what is happening in our board. I also wanted to thank a couple of board members, Sarah Graves and Dr. Nat Walker with LSU, who helped me in that March Madness that Josie Quintrell mentioned a little while ago, which is when we conduct our congressional circuit, visiting and talking to congressional offices all throughout the Gulf of Mexico. And I was fortunate enough to have their experience and have them with me in some of these meetings. And that was really, really a great opportunity for me to get to know some of our congressional offices running golf. We also have a number of new members to GCOOS. And this is something that actually we recently tried to put some action into bringing more members, because we would like to continue not only expanding, but diversifying our membership at GCOOS. And just over the past few months, we started traveling more actively, and more recently, just last week, we attended a Gulf of Mexico conference meeting. And so we were able to bring some of these new members just by putting a little bit more effort into this. So we will continue developing this work. But right now we have the Fundsmaker and Associates, Coastal Environments Inc., ESRI, which is the company that does the GIS software, ArcGIS, the Gulf Outreach Institute, the West Florida Research and Education Center, Colorado Center for Astrodynamics Research, and this is Dr. Bob Levin, who is already a partner with GCOOS and his center in Colorado, the University of Alabama, and SOFAR Ocean, which is a company that also does instrumentation and sensors in the ocean. A little bit, just a couple of details about how we know who is looking into the products that we are using, and the communications that we're doing through our website and our new e-newsletter that all of you, I hope, have received. The e-newsletter for during the last calendar year in 2021, we added 248, almost 250 new members to subscribers to that newsletter as well. By the way, that newsletter, the open rate grew about 1% during that same period, and compared to other governmental and non-for-profit organizations' opening click rates or opening rates, I mean, the GCOOS e-newsletter seems to be keep relevant for our communities and our audiences. And our website, same thing. Most people it seems to be coming to our landing main website page with 27.2%. And then some of our most successful projects and communications that we've done throughout, especially last fall, as several milestones were achieved with the expanding the respiratory forecast and HAPSCOPE. And I want to talk a little bit more about in a couple of slides. Then people want to know who are GCOOS staff and our board of directors. And also we've done some additional work in preparation for hurricane seasons on our focus areas on coastal hazards and coastal resilience along the coast. And then temperature salinity, that particular website, what it represents, it's our online / real-time data products that we provide. And again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that and provide you with a little bit more statistics of that. Something that I wanted to do in this opportunity during the spring meeting is to be able to convey to our members and new members and everybody here how is that GCOOS is working under our new regional association award achieved by securing the funding from IUS. So we're currently in year one of a 5-year funding cycle with IUS. We are, since I came on board about 7 months ago, most of my work has been in making sure that new funding and setting up the stage for the next 4.5 years, it's going to be a paper, hopefully a good work that will prepare us to be able to develop the milestones that we promise in each of our projects. So the Regional Association IUS Award basically help us fund our core observations, which includes, but it's not only limited to, moorings and coastal stations, the high-frequency radars, the underwater gliders, and other projects. But within that umbrella, we also work and IUS help us make possible other projects for other agencies across the federal government. Some of that work, it's the next generation of water nutrient sensors project that we're developing with EPA, and the oceanographic data for the NTL for accordance data funded by BESI, the underwater glider user group, that it's a global glider working group promoting the use of gliders and training and working with pilots, new and old. The HAPSCOPE work and the red tide respiratory forecast. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. That's work led by Dr. Patrick, who was my predecessor at GCOOS Executive Director. The Gulf of Mexico Coastal Ocean Acidification Network, GCAN, led by Jen Breland, also with GCOOS, and the cetacean data population health analysis as the cetacean project that we work with NOAA. fisheries throughout the Gulf of Mexico as well. There is a new project called Conti River Estuary Ocean Continuum. This is a modeling project that is, again, putting together a proof of concept for developing these integrated modeling tools from the estuary all the way to the ocean under the Coastal and Ocean Modeling Testbed Conti, which is one of the IU's signature programs as well. So as you can see, our work with IUs is quite diverse, but it's not only limited to what we do with IUs. We also work with other federal agencies such as BOEM, processing and maintaining a very large and compelling meteorological database generated by the oil and gas industry in the Gulf of Mexico that it's still very relevant for them to develop their models. Gulf Hub with the GRP, with the Gulf Research Program of the National Academies. This is a project that GCOOS have conducted, and it's coming to an end in about a month from now. Gulf Hub has been a successful data mining project with achieving of securing more than 50,000 different data sets related to the loop current in the Gulf of Mexico. Very relevant again for navigation and other operations such as oil and gas and renewable industry in the Gulf of Mexico as well. And we continue developing our AUV network and archiving facility, or Gandalf. Many of you are familiar already with Gandalf, but this is the piloted tool for underwater gliders and other autonomous vehicles that we provide for free to a large community, not only in the Gulf of Mexico, but also expanding all the way to Alaska and the Caribbean as well. This is another way to look at what projects and what collaborations we are developing over the next 5 years and maintaining over the next 5 years through our core funding from IUS. These are 13 partners, 10 academic, 2 NGO, non-for-profit organizations, and 1 private company who are helping us maintain those core observations. But it's actually beyond the core observations. You can see from those columns in the middle of the table that we also having projects that contribute directly to harmful algal blooms, to HABs, to ocean acidification. Other partners help us more specifically with remote sensing products. We do have projects that support the species directly, and then we do have other projects that are new projects, such as our new work with low-cost nutrient sensors, and trying to expand to other water quality opportunities to provide data throughout the Gulf of Mexico. And you see the outreach and education column empty, but that just means that we were not able to fund throughout our new award any educational products per se, but each of the products and everything that GCOOS does, thanks to the work of Dr. Chris Simonelli, we maintain a very robust and compelling outreach and education program throughout everything that we do, every project, every collaboration, and even in individual collaborations just for outreach and education in some ways. So this project, it's actually quite comprehensive. We have 21 individual projects with these 13 different institutions. So it is definitely a lot of moving parts, not to say the additional projects that I mentioned before that I show you with the other federal agencies. And these 13 SO awards with these institutions represents almost 60% of our budget, annual budget for the next 5 years. And that's in the order of $2.5 million that we give away throughout our partners every year. And we will continue doing that. Another way to look at the 5-year work that we're doing and what it's ahead, it's also by looking at the type of assets and how these each of these technological tools help us cover some aspects of the ocean environmental conditions that we are developing databases, time series, and providing those data services useful for the industry, for fisheries, for recreational, for coastal resilience in many ways. So you can see the diversity of the multiple type of assets that we're able to include into this award, from the underwater gliders, buoys, coastal stations, high-frequency radars, the imaging flow cytobots, a very interesting and amazing piece of equipment that I'm showing at the bottom of the slide, and many other smaller sensors that we are also working on water quality issues and aspects. So we're getting to the last part of my presentation, which is just an update of what the GCOOS team is doing and how everybody's contributing to really, all this machinery that is GCOOS, that it's keeping all of these data services and opportunities for collaboration with everyone. And I always start with our data portal, which is the data management and cyber infrastructure work that Felimon Gallanillo and Bob Courier and also Marilyn Stossel make possible, and different institutions, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi, Texas A&M, and Bob, it's in Florida. So this is the work that we do by maintaining the lab connection to about 16,000, more than 1,600, I'm sorry, individual sensors throughout moorings and coastal stations, and stations also attached and moored to oil and gas platforms in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico for our project with Bessie as well. So there has been a slightly an increase of the amount of data that we've been able to simulate since our last meeting in the fall. We continue to develop monthly thousands of files and aggregate these data into multidimensional NetCDF files, but also other type of ways to access our data as well. And that data basically represents winds, the water and temperature, air temperature, waves, ocean currents. So very important for a lot of the activities that are relevant in the Gulf of Mexico. And as you know, all of that data goes to our AirDAP servers and other ways to harvest that information as well that Felimon and Mary provide. Dr. Kerry Weldon, she's our oceanographer with Texas A&M and GCOOS, and Kerry manages our high-frequency radar program and our underwater glider program. On the high-frequency radar program, Kerry holds meetings every month with a group of operators of high-frequency radars operators. We share updates. We talk about the challenges of developing this work and how we want to move forward as a team. Other type of conversations, as Joe mentioned, and has been brought to throughout this meeting, it's our work that we're trying to initiate with our neighbors to the south, in the southern Gulf of Mexico, with different university consortia and other partners, and specifically the high-frequency radars, University of Baja California. They do have a network of radars along the Gulf of Mexico that they maintain, and we are trying to develop collaborations with them to be able to take the opportunity to share data on both sides. And then also, Kerry, it's part of the radio wave oceanographic working group steering committee for the next meeting this year, later this year. And again, Kerry, our manager for the underwater glider program as well. She holds meetings about glider working group, a larger working group on gliders throughout the multiple institutions in the Gulf of Mexico every 2 weeks. Last year, during calendar year 2021, Kerry was able to deploy 6 glider missions with more than 100 days each of those missions. Very successful season. We didn't have any hiccups. We even were able to accommodate an experimental glider track, which is the image that I'm showing in the lower right part of the screen, in which Kerry and partners at the University of South Florida, Southern Mississippi, were able to deploy a glider of the Mississippi River area, spending time assessing the loop current conditions, and then taking the loop current into the Atlantic, and being recovered all the way to South Carolina in more than 100 days, close to 4,000 kilometers covered in that span of time. Very important data set, and we would like to continue doing those experimental gliders with a number of partners, including the US Navy, who provide us with those gliders. We continue to, again, develop relationships with Mexico and opportunities for, hopefully in the future, be able to share our data on both sides of the border and use it for decision making, important when it comes to the hurricane seasons and prevention and building resiliency as well. And then Kerry and a number of our partners, Kevin Martin and also Dr. Patrick, Bill Lynch, also with GCOOS and the EU2 manager. They're organizing the next EU2 workshop in Seattle in September this year, and we hope that people can attend and find value in this working group as well. On the Harpoon Archive loops, again, this is a research line that it's led by Dr. Barbara Patrick, also with Grant Craig and Bob Courier, developing the every beach, every day forecast, the respiratory forecast prediction that we partnered with NOAA and universities in Florida in developing an operational process that begins with developing the hardware, the HubScope, that's the microscope, and the Raspberry Pi motherboard that you see in one of the pictures, taking a wire sample, identifying the Carenia brevis, which is the dinoflagellate responsible for red tide in Florida, and be able to take that to a model that runs in the cloud, be able to develop a prediction together with NOAA, and get that data back published into the HAPSCO forecast website, which is those different colors in shades of yellow all the way to blue in the map. There is no current bloom. Last year, as I came to GCOOS, we were very active in following the developments of the different multi-month blooms developed along the Florida coast. This year, especially now, we don't have any events happening. This technology has been very successful. We just did live demos last week in a Gulf of Mexico conference, and it's have been highly create a great interest along the Gulf communities as a low-cost sensor and technology to be able to support human health and ecosystem health along the Gulf of Mexico. Right now, Bob Courier is working in HAPSCO 2.0, which is a more refined and even less expensive technology to work on. There will be an a HAP observing workshop in Florida happening at the last week of May. This is an invitation event organized by FWRI in Florida, but it's going to be also another good point of information for us to identify priorities to work along the southeast of the United States together. And then Barb also continues to serve on the steering committee. I think Josie mentioned her contributions to the national HAP observation network along the entire United States. Jen Breland, I mentioned that she manages GCAN, the Gulf of Mexico Acidification Network. A couple of things and exciting work that is happening. GCAN, as a network of scientists and practitioners, are publishing a compilation of the state of the science for ocean acidification in the Gulf of Mexico. That publication is on the way, and I'm really looking forward to have access to it soon and to be able to take the key messages from it. Jen and her research institute partners and also partners in Mexico and Cuba continue to organize the International Ocean Acidification Workshop that now it's been scheduled for mid-October to happen in Merida in the Yucatan Peninsula. We are hoping that this will be an opportunity for a initial inception team to a meeting to come together and eventually develop a true international network around the entire Gulf of Mexico with our partners in Cuba and Mexico as well. By the way, this is also something that one of our other board members, Dr. Kim Yates, has been very instrumental in making this happen. And then also Jen is working in continually developing our ocean acidification data portal and adding new data sets. And it seems that over the course of the next year, we will have good opportunities to add important data that people and scientists and managers can use on ocean acidification. Christy Monelli, our manager for outreach and education, who most of you know, she maintains a successful program on outreach and education, partnering with many of you already and many other people. She has a lot of milestones accomplished throughout the last 6 months, but the one that I choose to share with you today, it's about our role of GCOOS and being a key partner of the Marine Biodiversity Observation Network of South Florida. This is an MBON funded project. MBON, it's an IUS sponsored program as well that we partner directly with the University of South Florida, where the key PI for this project is. GCOOS contributes in different capacities, but mainly transforming and organizing data. Marion Stossel has spent the last couple of years, definitely, if not more than that, adding very important biological data sets and organizing them throughout our GCOOS 5 server of ERDAP. And Chris continued to be a lead on the facilitation and organization of this South Florida / South United States, basically, MBON working group, in which there is going to be good opportunities this year for several meetings and people to participate and know more about it. This, I thought it was important because some of you might remember that in our previous board meeting, we talked about Marine Life, which is the new branding of IUS for everything that has to do with species, MBON, and the Animal Telemetry Network moving to the future. And so we wanted to continue showing the participation of GCOOS into these type of projects and contributions as well. Another summary of exciting work that is happening at GCOOS. I mentioned to you the experimental glider and how relevant that was for the scientific community, but also for working with other key partners, the Navy and also AOML throughout the southeast of the United States, and having a group of about 20 people working on this and following this mission for 3 months, more than 3 months, until it was picked up out of the South Carolina coast. So we would like to continue this work and expanding our glider program in these lines. We mentioned the collaboration with Mexico, and so this year, many of you might have been aware that we organized the spring GCOOS webinar series with a focus on 2 marine science consortia in Mexico, SIGOM and SEMIE. One is more focused on observations and science, the other one is more focused on engineering and renewable energies. And the goal was for us to bring that to the attention of our partners, for us to get more knowledgeable on the work that they are developing and how we could collaborate to the future. So I think we accomplished the goal of showing a very good diversity of opportunities and the work that these 2 marine consortia are developing, having more than 12 different speakers in 2 months, 2.5 months more or less, dealing with from radars and gliders program that they managed successfully all the way to developing models, and then building publications that they are now a good reference for the Southern Gulf of Mexico for all of us, all the way to what is the potential for renewables energies, given ocean conditions, and how they put together all the information of observations in the Gulf of Mexico as well. So the summaries of all of those presentations are actually now available in the GCOOS YouTube website. Thanks to Nadine, our communications lead, that she has made all of those videos available for anyone who wants to go back and learn about, radars, gliders, databases, environmental models, everything that these people presented throughout the past couple of months, if no more. And I'll just finish by showing another milestone, an interesting work that GCOOS funded with by GCOOS and NCOS support through the University of Florida. This is a project that Dr. Patrick started and we continue developing, but there was a publication in the Journal of Tourist Economics by this work group on the economics of and the cost of red tides, finding that, throughout the 2018 bloom that started in 2017 and ended in 2019, one of the most severe blooms on record for the Florida coast, having a total loss, or an estimated total loss of $128 million just on Airbnb occupation capacity, given to the irritations and other health issues that discourage people from coming to the West Florida coastline. And then a loss on almost 3,000 losses throughout that same period, throughout this region as well. I think this is some of the good opportunities for using the data that regional associations, GCOOS, were producing, put into the context of decision-making points that matter to people, such as economic losses as well. I just want to end my intervention by acknowledging the help that I get every day from everybody, beginning with our board, my board, the GCOOS board, who enable the work that we do. My staff, who makes things possible with me or without me, because they are empowered to continue developing the projects, continue developing the relationships with all of you, and delivering good work. With Texas A&M University, our fiscal institution, who supports us every day on the many things that has to do with the projects that we manage. And then all of our partners and co-PIs, whether in any of these projects or the many collaborations that GCOOS has, that help us develop a functional network of networks, because we're not here alone, or we're not here by ourselves. Everything is made possible because we're part of a network and try to support that network as well. And our members, like anyone who's a member, and it's in this call today, that it's helping us with ideas, keeping us on check for the things that we said that we are doing, and bringing collaborations in which we can support and be of help. So with that, thank you so much. I think we had a very good meeting today. Thank you for that.
Jorge, thank you. I can't re-emphasize enough the value and the contributions made by the GCOOS staff. There's not a whole lot of them they get a lot of work done, and they collaborate really well. And I'm privileged to sit in on their biweekly meetings to see the progress that they make at each and every turn. They really are a credit to GCOOS and the science community. So to the staff, thank you very much. Your work is just fabulous. And Jorge, continue to, you're doing a great job. I know it'll continue. It's frustrating, it's busy, it's challenging, but Jorge faces every day with a positive attitude, and he can't ask for more than that. So things are going very well with our new director and our staff. Any questions for Jorge? I'm looking for hands, but I don't see any. Okay, if not, but I want to make one announcement. We held an election, our annual election for board members this spring. It was amazing, the quality of candidates that we had on the ballot. Many new names that are playing vital roles in the ocean community. At the end of the election, I mentioned to Jorge, my sentiment was, I wish we could have elected every one of them because it would have just brought so much talent to the table. It would have been incredible. For those that ran for office, and I've notified everyone whether they were elected or not elected. And for those of you that may not have been elected, I encourage you, to keep working with GCOOS. As I said, you bring a world of talent to the table, and watch again next year. We'll have elections again. Every one of the sectors, private industry, government, outreach and education, academic, we rotate people through those annually. The number of openings might vary from year to year, but there will be future opportunities for candidates to be nominated or self-nominate to fill those positions. I'm now going to announce I will call them, I guess, semi-official results. They'll be official tomorrow once voted on and approved by the board. I've provided all the information on the selectees to the board for comment. I have received no objections to the selectees. I'd like to thank, before I go down the list, Dave Driver from the board and Jen Vreeland from the staff for their help in organizing and executing the election. I appreciate your work. So without further ado, we'll talk more about the process, the election process, in our closed session tomorrow. We discovered that our bylaws needed a little bit of fine tuning, actually probably a lot of fine tuning, to actually represent what we want to do in the election process, kind of codifying what we've been doing over the years. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. But pending the approval of the board tomorrow, our candidates are winners in the private industry sector are Ruth Perry and Jan Van Smeren. Ruth was currently a board member, so she's been reelected. Jan was also reelected to the board. We have a new board member, Jessica Henkel from RestoreTheGulf.gov. And my apologies to Jessica. I've been trying to reach out to her, and I wanted to call her a .com person and not a .gov person, but I think I finally got that figured out. Pat Hogan was reelected for another term on the board. Dan Walker was reelected for another term on the board, as was Stephen Howden in the academic sector. And Nan represents outreach and education, and Jessica and Pat are from the government sector. So congratulations to our electees. And as I said, tomorrow we'll have a formal vote by the board to codify the selection. So congratulations to our new board members and re-elected board members. Before we wrap up, are there any closing comments? We still have a number of members on the conference, and I thank you all for attending today. We had a very, very strong turnout. If there are any issues, comments, questions, please, we have a few minutes left in our agenda on for until 5 o'clock. We need not exhaust that time that's remaining, but if there are any questions or comments, please raise them now.
Joe, this is Sarah. I don't know how to raise my
Yes,
hand
ma'am.
in the official way, but I just thought the variety of presentations and the topics that were discussed today were extraordinary and brought a lot of information, I think, to all of us. So thanks to everybody that participated and helped make all this happen.
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, I agree. I think we had a good cross section. You know, the program office information is always valuable. It's not always what we want to hear, but it gives us a chance to see, you know, firsthand what really is going on. Josie with the IOS Association, a much higher level view of what's going on in the world of Capitol Hill and government financing. Scott Rader at the Water Institute at the I mean, that's just that's going to be really an exciting relation to keep to foster. I mean, that's, as you could tell, Scott's a very dynamic person. He can get things done, and he's really an ally in the world of GCOOS. And Dr. Burnett's presentation, the Bowie Center, again, I can't say enough how excited I am to have him back at NDBC. He brings a very, very forward and outward-looking perspective to that organization, and I know it'll be well received, and I know it'll be very successful. And of course, Ashley with her presentation on the DEIA, that's good. It was good to meet her and to see what her charter is and what her goals are. And you know, she's on a 1-year fellowship, and I only hope that the IOS Association will see fit to continue that as we move on beyond the 1-year point. But it's a position that you just can't do justice in a year. But it's certainly a good start, and I look forward to having interactions with Ashley as we move forward. And then finally, Jorge's presentation hits the mark, gives our members an idea of what's going on more internally within the GCOOS organization. Certainly a lot happening, and believe me, Jorge's rudder changes daily as different directives and guidance come down from funding agencies, from the program office, from whomever. But he's been managing it really well, and again with the support of a very, very talented staff. So any other comments or questions as we wrap up the members session of our meeting? If not, I want to again thank Jen, Reelan, and Chris for moderating and organizing and getting slides up and doing all the legwork and getting the meeting to happen. For the closed meeting, we'll adjourn tomorrow at 1 o'clock and talk a little bit more about some of the internal things that are going on within the GCOOS organization, within the staff, and also with a look to the future. And we get down in the weeds a little bit on some issues that we just need to talk about, but it'll be, I'm sure it'll be a productive session. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank everyone for their attendance, and we'll talk tomorrow unless somebody has something left. Is that Chris?
Yes, there is. There's one more comment, and it's from me. And I want to say many thanks to you for your leadership. Most folks might not know this is your last meeting as the chair for the public meeting of GCOOS, and you've been an outstanding leader for all of us. And it was very difficult. We know the transition with Barb stepping down and Jorge moving in, with the search for the new executive director, with everything you've done for us. Really, our heartfelt thank you. We couldn't have done it without you.
That's
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, everybody, have a good evening, have a safe evening, and for the board and staff, we'll see you tomorrow at 1.